Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. Something popped into my feed on Pinterest, and it was a fun fold, but it was enormous. It was about 5 inches by 7 inches, and it was too big to fit in an envelope. An infinity card is a never-ending card. Open the sides first. Then you open the top and it gives you the tree trunk. Then you push that back and then open the sides, and then you're back to the beginning. So if you, that's the front and then that's the back. So the opposite side of this triangle, the words will be upside down. So I wanted really to make one that would fit inside one of the C6 envelopes. So here is the result. So this is 6 by 4, and as you can see, it will just go into the envelope with no problem at all. Now it looks complicated, but really it isn't. So to die cut the elements, I use the Merriest Trees dies. In fact, I use the Merriest Trees bundles, and I use the smallest, the one that only had 2 tiers. I think it was this tree here, so that it would fit into this little panel. And of course these tiny little presents, I did die cut the ornaments with the die, which is this one here. And I just fussy cut those because they were pretty straightforward, so I didn't bother to use the dies. It was only this one and the ornaments that I used. And on the front of the card I cut this wreath from the St. Nicholas dies. This is the stamp set, and these are the dies. And I use this and the little leaves, and this one for the berries. To die cut the berries, you die cut it from this strip of little balls. I attached an adhesive sheet on the back of the cherry cobbler cardstock and cut 2 rows of the berries, which I then attached to the card in clusters of 3. Save time, I've already pre-die cut these, and I will die cut the berries as I need them because they have got a adhesive sheet backing on them, and it's easier to handle if I leave the berries in situ with a die and then prise the sticky adhesive sheet backing paper and then adhere it straight onto the leaf. So I'll talk you through how I assembled it. I've already pre-assembled it to save time because it's quite fiddly, and then on the back I put mini dimensionals so that I can pop it straight onto the card, also with the gold. I think it's Simply Elegant trim, and it comes in a pack of 2 with silver and gold, and I just use the gold one. So to assemble the wreath, you simply put a tiny dot of glue in between the leaves and then stick that on top around the wreath. I think I cut that one off and inserted it elsewhere, so like so. And I think I might have, because there was a gap there, I put a leaf there, and then I put the little dots, the berries, on top. Now this is my template in Imperial for the Tree Infinity card. I want to cut it at 4 inches by 6 inches. In the metric version, this will be 10.2 by 15.2 centimeters. Then you want to score at 1 inch to the left of the cutting groove, and align at 1 inch to the right of the cutting groove. Okay, so now on the short side you have 2 parallel lines. Now you want to cut between these 2 lines to create the opening for your infinity card. So align that at 1.5 inches, and in metric that will be 3.8 centimeters, and you just cut between the 2 score lines. Okay, so there's your cut. Now rotate the cardstock 180 degrees and align this left edge. Your cut line is to the right, and you score again all the way down at 1.5 inches or 3.8 centimeters. Now you want to find the center of this portion here, and in fact half of 4 inches is 2 inches. So you just want to make a mark here that intersects the cut line. Okay, metric, that will be 5.1 centimeters. Now I've burnished the score lines here so that you can see where the lines intersect, and this is where you want to make a mark, and you want to draw from the center to the opposite diagonal within this rectangle. If it intersects, then you know it's accurate. And do the same for this side. Now you want to cut from the center score line to the top right corner here, using the pencil mark as your guideline. And there's your infinity card. So fold that back. Whoops. And you get that shape. Fold this back. You get your tree with a trunk. Fold the bottom trunk back. You get a big triangle. Then you open the sides. You get that. This will be the back of the card, and then you open that up and you're back to the beginning. So now we want to create the template for the designer series paper. So what you simply do is make another one identical, and this time, since I've already got my template here, I'm going to cut this one up for my designer series paper. So I'm going to cut along this line here, and that's the center panel. Okay, and then along here straight across. Actually, if I want it to be accurate, I could bring in my trimmer, align it at 1.5 inches, wasn't it? And then cut straight up. Align that at 1.5 inches. And cut. So this is actually will be your sides. So that's the same side as your card panels. So now if you want to make that a 1/4 of an inch smaller, so you're taking an 1/8 of inch each side. You need your trimmer, and the same applies with the metric one. So you need to cut 0.3 centimeters on all 4 sides. So this one's easy to remember because you've only got the 4 sides. Okay, so now you want to cut an 1/8 of an inch, which will be this mark here, and 0.3 centimeters. Count from that, that is 0.5 centimeters, so you count 2 back because it's 0.3. So anyway, we're doing the imperial, so I want to line up my trimmer there and cut a 1/8 of an inch off, and work your way round this way so you don't you keep rotating the card so you don't forget which end you've done. Can I still hold on to my paper? No, it's going to move. So the trick to do is grab some tape, tape that down so it doesn't move. Sorry. That will help you hold it down. And cut toward the point, not away from it, because it will rack up the paper. Alright, now you've got a straight edge, flip it over 1/8 of an inch. And lastly this side, 1/8 of an inch. Haven't got enough paper to hold on to, so I'm going to stick it down with the tape. So now you can see that that is the exact angle and everything which will match up with that panel. So all you have to do is just use that to trace round your designer series paper, and for this side you just simply flip it over and do the same. And you do the same for the center panel. Make a mark, I think, so that you know which way you've cut, so you don't accidentally cut it twice, and just start going round 1/8 of an inch off everything, or all 5 sides. Then you end up with a piece that will fit over this. Okay, now I've used 3 types of designer series paper, and this comes from the Shining Christmas 12 by 12 specialty designer series paper, which is an online exclusive. So these are the papers. They're 12 by 12 inch sheets with only a single, oh, they are double-sided designs. There's the tree and this feathered edge, presents. I've used that for my rectangles, that for my main centerpiece. Harlequin design with baubles on the back, holly leaves with the spots, and the candy cane with the crosses. I've taken my 4 by 6 card base. I've scored it on the short side at 1 inch, and to the left of the cutting groove, aligned it at 1 inch to the right of the cutting groove, and scored a 1 inch score line there. Then I turned it on its side and then aligned the left edge at 1.5 inches and cut between the 1 inch and the 3 inch score line. Okay. Then I used a ruler and drew from the top left corner down to the center point here, and from the top right down to the center point there. You need to mark the center of your paper and you can use a pencil or just use a scoring blade. If you make a mark there, it won't be noticeable because you're going to cover it up with designer series paper anyway. Now I'm going to burnish my score lines, and the reason why I cut first before scoring is because it gives a cleaner cut on your cardstock. You've cut and scored your card base. You want to adhere your designer series paper. So pattern 1, I've cut 8 little rectangles, and these are for the corners, front and back, okay? And they're all the same, and they're non-directional. So the rectangles measure 1.5 by 1 inch, so your DSP will be 3/4 of an inch by 1.25 inches. I'm going to put glue on the 4 panels, and I'm using Tombow because it gives me a bit of wiggle room. I'm going to pop my silicone mat underneath just in case the residual glue sticks to the work surface. I'm going to set this aside so that I can show you how I use the template to cut the centerpieces. Now the original size of the center panel is 2 inches by 4.5 inches, okay? I marked the center at 2 inches, and then I trimmed off 1/8 of an inch on all 5 sides, and the finished sides then of the rectangle would be 1 3/4 by 4 inches. So the measurement from there to down here is 4 inches. I cut rectangles 1 3/4 inches by 4 inches, then put it on top of my template, traced round it, and then cut them. So the metric one is, the original was 5.2 by 11.5 centimeters, and I trimmed 0.3 centimeters on all 5 sides, and the finished size became 4.6 by 10.2 rectangles. And then I marked the center, and then again using the template trimmed all round it. So now let's attach these. The original size was, so the rectangles are 1 3/4 inches by 2 3/4 inches, and like before, you just put the template on your rectangle, draw a line, trace round it, and then cut. Now, a word of caution. With the designer series paper, this is the left side. This is shiny paper, so it's difficult to see. So in fact, you place the right side on the back and trace round it. So the right side, which is the reverse side, will actually be the left side of your panel. Okay, so you need 2 pieces of that. Then for the right side, you flip it over, so you're actually using the left side of your template to cut the right side, because you're putting your template on this designer's series paper on the reverse, because you can't draw on this side. Okay, does that make sense? I hope it does. For the bottom section here, front and back, you need a piece that is 1 1/4 by 1 3/4. One in the DSP, that's the same as this centerpiece, and a basic white one for the back. So I'll set aside my card for the moment, and we need to do a bit of stamping. So the inks I'm using are Cherry Cobbler, Mossy Meadow, and pool party. So I'm going to do a bit of stamping now. To stamp my ornaments, stamp the present. Oops, I forgot to record it. Stamp the present in cherry cobbler with the bow. And while I've got the cherry cobbler ink out, I'll stamp this bow as well. I'll stamp that present in Mossy Meadow. It was a second attempt, it's still not very crisp. Try again, that's better. Now I'll use the template I cut for the DSP, and I'm going to use that to stamp my tree sentiment. So I'll stamp that in Mossy Meadow. And the last one, Love and Joy. Now I've got a bit of die cutting to do. I'm going to use this online exclusive, the gold and silver adhesive back papers. Bringing my Stamparatus back because I want to stamp the tree, and I'm not fussed about the lower of the tree. I only want the two top sections. Now I could die cut these all with the dies provided, but because they're such simple cuts, I'm going to fussy cut them. So I'll do these quickly. Now this sentiment here I've already fussy cut beforehand and matted it onto cherry cobbler and cut around that too to create a shadow. This one I'm just going to cut across. Die cut these stars from the Merriest Tree dies, which I'll do off camera. I've taken the backing tape off that and I'll put it on top of this one. Now we can start assembling the card. So I'm going to choose this as my front. So now we can glue this down. Next, glue this on to the front and allow it to bond before you start flipping the card over. I think I might put glue on these bits here and allow it to dry so it's repositionable. Now is the time when you want to flip the card over so you know which side to glue. So I want the words on this side. And this last present I'll put on dimensionals along here. And this is somewhere for them to sign. So this goes on this side and I need to do a bit of trimming. So let me mark it and have that up a little bit further, and I'll mark it there. Trim it off. So that's the base. Lastly, put the star on. Looking at this card, this should be upside down. This is the right way up, but if you put it this way, it'll be that way. Just double checking after all that effort You don't want to fall at the last hurdle. So there's the card finished. The first is to open the sides and then flip that back so you form a big tree. You push the love and joy back, that opens up, and then you can see who it's from, and that flips back to the beginning. So there's your infinity card in a tree shape. You can stand it up if you wish, like so. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Share if you can, I'd appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Bye.